Brothers and sisters, man, we made it. We made it. Been a long, arduous, strenuous journey. Not so much strenuous as it was arduous this time around. Still, we made it. Now, right to the nitty gritty. That's right. Middle management morons. White heaven, baby. Now, just in case anybody didn't see this, I got to show you this so that way we're all on the same page. And let me blow that up. And we're going to read that out loud to ourselves. The mission of the Department of Justice, DOJ, is to uphold the rule of law, to keep safe our country, and to protect civil rights. Now, I need y'all to understand what they listed is what they feel the importance that it follows in. So the rule of law, whatever that may be on paper, the policy at that time that is agreed upon, that is ratified, that is voted upon, okay, and eventually amended, all right? For sure. Okay. To keep our country safe. That's a loose leaf one. But if I had to say it, I would say national security and the likes and the threat of internal dysfunction are the things they're looking to quell. Quell, not the bird quail. And to protect civil rights, last and most definitely least. Now, why I wanted to point this out to y'all is because middle management morons in white heaven would have you to believe that these things, that the rule of law, the safety of the country, and civil rights are actually not the forward thought. If you had to guess, it would be making everybody else comfortable. But that has nothing to do with upholding the law. That has nothing to do with keeping the country safe. And that does not guarantee you're protecting someone's civil rights. Now, I contend many things throughout the years, but I contend ever more than now. Ever more now than ever. Right now, in this very moment, here, as we go forward, that the middle management moron has been guided in a way that is not this way. See, there shouldn't be any department or council or entity or body or tribunal or what do you call it? Committee, right? Delegates, um, uh, electees. They should not be the how they do things. There should not be anything that goes against what is the most baseline. So, what is greater? Let's mitigate for a second. We're not talking about a perfect ideal world. We know we don't live in that. What is greater than justice then? And in non-ideal world, which we live in, what action is greater than justice? Tell me. See, Justice is mercy because I won't let you carry on sullying your good name. We'll put an end to you ruining your reputation. Justice is love. Only because I care about you to the degree that I care will I do this. Justice is patience. True justice is not quick to dole out physical violent punishment, but finds ways where in which recompense can be made. Justice is forgiveness. Right. See, I'm trying to break it down. The middle management moron doesn't understand these things. They could not understand these things. They've been taught to think a certain way. Like I said, if you had to ask me, or if you were asked, most people would think that the most important thing in this country, outside of making money, let me caveat the money because I didn't say that earlier, would be making other people happy. It would be how well you make others feel about themselves, as opposed to you doing that which is right. So when I say that justice in its own actual true ways, all right, mercy, once again, love, is patience, it's righteousness. The right thing to do is justice. I heard a man say something so foolish the other day. And as we pull up this article about my boy Abe, one second. As we pull up this article about my boy Abe, we'll see how people feel. Let me blow that up. And we're not gonna get into all of this. But I want y'all to find somebody now. Before you say Abe is a frothing at the mouth, racist, hating ass nigga, right? Heard, heard, heard all that. But just quick point of reference. If you lived in the 1800s and you could pass for white and you found yourself in the White House, mind you, this man was a self-educated lawyer. I wonder why. Shh. Anyhow, and you found yourself in the White House, what would you do in order for people to not know, especially individuals who have already ran smear campaigns on you when you were a senator, claiming that you were part Negro? Come on. This is why when they talk about Abe Lincoln's lineage, they'll let you know that his mother was some sort of native background and that his father has some sort of Cajun or Creole background. They'll throw that in there. I wonder why. Shh. Anyway, I'm not defending Abe. I'm just pointing out what is more likely the actual true scenario. Abe was in a situation where he couldn't get out of that situation. Follow my point. Look how people treated Obama. Obama, for all intents and purposes, for all these Afrocentric, Pan African thinking ass dudes where all black is the same, he has a black father. Not an American black father, but nonetheless a black father. And look how people treated Obama. Right. They can say he never did nothing for us. Okay, if that's your point, how can you shit on Abe Lincoln? Think about my point real quick. Abe Lincoln got his whole head took the fuck off, shot in the back of his shit. Name another person that's happened to where somebody walked up and put their put their marbles all over the place. Tell me who. This is a .gov, so I didn't just get this out of anywhere. Let me view this in the YouTube again. Let's do this. Once again, niggas shit on Obama, tell you Obama didn't do nothing for niggas. A dude who you say was a mouth frothing racist got his whole head took off in the end. And y'all could say it was had nothing to do with. So if it has nothing to, if why they killed Abe Lincoln has nothing to do with black people, then why? We'll get to that later. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, which would have actually came out that year. Remember, he was killed in April. Anyway, let's get to it. Timeline. Excuse me. Unless otherwise noted, the individuals and organizations noted in the timeline were affiliated with the United States or Union military during the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln and Emancipation. 1860, November 6. Abraham Lincoln elected President of the United States. 1860, December 20. South Carolina becomes the first of 11 southern states to secede from the United States. Ultimately, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia would follow. So those are all the states that you need to be on the lookout for if some shit jump off. I mean, every state is hella racist, but those states in particular. 1861, February. Confederate States of America organized in Montgomery, Alabama, and elected Jefferson Davis president. The Confederate capital moved to Richmond, Virginia, not long after Virginia seceded in 1861, April 1861. March 2, 1861. Congress passed a joint resolution proposing the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which stated that no amendment shall be made to the Constitution which will authorize or give Congress the power to abolish or interfere with any state, with the domestic institutions thereof, including that of a persons held to labor or service by the laws of said state. In essence, guaranteeing constitutional protection of slavery in those states wanting to retain slave systems. The amendment was sent to the states but not ratified. Stop right there. What was that first thing I showed y'all? The mission of the Department of Justice was to what? Uphold the laws of the land. Let's keep going. And I know the Department of Justice was not around back then, but I need y'all to understand their job is to uphold the amendment. So, the Constitution, the ghetto Magna Carta. So, when you really break it down and you get to it and you start to put the nitty grit together, right, you start to see a really messed up picture. And what you're seeing is if these people, so called people who are in charge now, were to interpret the Constitution differently, they could enforce the laws as they see fit. I'm just trying to give y'all the understanding that I have, the little bit of understanding that I have. 1861, March 4, meaning they could trash what they could write new amendments, they could write in new amendments that would technically undo or nullify 13, 14, 15. Especially the 13th and the 14th, like undo them and undercut them all the way. April 15th, 1861. President Lincoln issued a call for troops after Confederate states in Charleston, South Carolina, fired on Union-held Fort Sumter, initiating the Civil War. No, the South started this shit, is what they're saying. Can't be sure of that, but that's what they're saying. May 1861. General Benjamin F. Butler declared escaped slaves who sought refuge at Fortress Monroe in Virginia to be contraband of war, whose labor could be used by the Union. Contraband became a term applied to contrabands became a term applied to fugitive slaves during the Civil War. How many people you think know that right now? How many of the middle management morons who are in charge and make rules and pass laws every day? How many of them you think know that? Why do you think they still like to use the term contraband to this day? Because they know what they're talking about. Anyway, 1861, July 21st. First Battle of Bull Run at Manassas, Virginia. 1861, August 6th. Congress passed the first Confiscation Act, which invalidated the claims of slave owners to escape slaves who had been used on behalf of the Confederacy. Lincoln signed it to law. So pretty much saying that all these people using slaves to do whatever kind of anything, right? We don't we don't any escaped slave who was a part of your shit or was a cook, a killer, right? From the cook to the killer, right? If they got out of there, any sort of we have to return them or we have to honor. No, nope, nope. Because you guys got to understand, for years and years and years, many states in the North, even though it was free up north, even though it was they didn't typically hold slaves up north, don't think that people weren't grabbed from up north and returned to their slave owners in the South. Don't be naive. This is pre-Civil War. This is up until this point. We're still returning slaves who are escaped. We're still doing whatever. We're trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to be virtuous. I'm trying to be honorable, right? It's the law of the land. I can't just usurp the law. Now, I need y'all to understand. Name one president that popped it all the way off like this. Name one. No, I know. I fucking said name one. That's right. You can't. And you'll let a dick eating faggot who won't even show his face tell you who's a racist or not. When you don't even know if this nigga's a shea butter bootlick that he's always claiming to be putting down. Let that sink in. Y'all. These niggas who be talking shit could be the same niggas that they mad about. Could be the half breed things that they hate. Because they are one probably. Anyway, 1861 September. General John C. Fremont, in command of Department of the West, issued an order emancipating the slaves of disloyal citizens in Missouri. Fremont refused Lincoln's request that he modify the order with regard to slavery, and in September, President Lincoln demanded Fremont to do so. 1861. Port Royal Sound in the Sea Islands of South Carolina, captured by U.S. Captain Samuel F. DuPont. Slave owners in the area fled to the mainland, leaving thousands of slaves behind. The area around Beaufort became the scene of Port Royal experiment in which former slaves and military authorities, abolitionists and teachers from the North first tested emancipation and the transition to freedom. So this is the first group of black people they get to see like how are we going to integrate them into this white culture that we have? Which ones of them are going to fit the best in? Which ones of them are we gonna have to either get rid of or keep their ass working hard till their back break because we can't have them come in and fuck up what we done built. Is that's the mentality these individuals have. You got to understand that they're not gonna undo all the hard work for the sake of these niggas who, for all things they say, they still ended up slaves. When you get done, you can be mad about it. That's what happened. Going on. 1861, December. Secretary of War Simon Cameron advocated emancipation and military employment of fugitive slaves, and a draft of his annual report made without Lincoln's approval. The final report submitted to Congress omitted these recommendations. Lincoln's annual message instead proposed compensated emancipation and colonization measures. Colonization measures. So look, are you seeing this? The Secretary of War advocated emancipation and the military employment of fugitive slaves in a draft of his annual report. Okay? And made it public without Lincoln's approval. Now, listen, he made it public without Lincoln's approval. What they did was test the waters. They seen how white folks was going to feel. Okay, they ain't feeling that shit. All right, we'll reel it back in, and and then what we present will be some different shit. But Lincoln is so racist that this man in 1861 would have thought to enlist black people in the fucking military. Right, whatever, man. I know it says without his approval. Do you really believe in 1861 with a bunch of racist motherfuckers with guns who would kill him? They remember, this nigga got smoked. You can't act like they wouldn't kill him. So this dude was dancing on eggshells the whole fucking time. Fuck thin ice. Soft enamel eggshells at that. Where was I at? 1862, March 6. Lincoln submitted to Congress a joint resolution proposing a federally compensation emancipation plan. Both houses of Congress passed the resolution in April, but state legislatures in the affected states failed to respond. They said, we ain't doing that shit. So once again, Lincoln's so racist. He's so racist, he told those states not to respond, right? Didn't he? Didn't he? Because he was a super fucking bigot. I know. They're like, but Meech, he said that if the white man should have the natural position. What the fuck else is he supposed to say? We're all equal? Again, this dude got his head knocked off. What the fuck are you niggas talking about? There is no civil war. Your black asses are fucking stuck down in the South right now, a fully mechanized South. You're still a fucking slave to this day. Shut your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about. As if you ever put your boots on and cracked a skull to get your people set free. Motherfucking cowards. And niggas in there, bravissimo for these niggas. Extolling they shit to the stars. You're garbage. 1862, March 13. Congress passed an article of war prohibiting the army from returning escaped slaves to their masters. Lincoln signed it to law. Even though he had already proposed that a year before. Congress is finally like, okay. You shouldn't, dudes are literally fighting and dying for these guys. Why should you return a slave that somebody literally died to fucking save? Why should you return that escaped slave to them? And you got into a full-blown firefight over this shit, right? People died. Why would you return them? Basic logic, right? Like I told y'all, at the beginning, we're still trying to do the honorable thing, which is we've been doing this for this long. We're not going to stop doing this. Right, because eventually we just gonna take over this whole shit and free people anyway. No doubt. (1862) April 16. Congress abolished slavery in the District of Columbia with a compensated emancipation program. Lincoln signed it to law. 1862 May. General David Hunter declared free slaves in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Declared it. President Lincoln quickly revoked Hunter's proclamation. We already know why. Because he wants to make it known for everybody, not just a few spots. Because militaristically speaking, If I let you know right now that these dudes are free here, all the places that'll still have them are gonna hunker down twice as hard. The fighting is gonna be twice as hard. Relax. Need to get some crucial victories first, and then we can talk about who's free, who's not free. Because if that was the case, he could have just said at the very beginning of the war, every slave in every state, you're all free right now. How would that have worked? They'd have killed those niggas. Don't be stupid, y'all. Like, please, don't be fucking stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't come here thinking stupid thoughts. I would advise you not to think nothing for a while. Think your own thoughts, but I wouldn't think anything until I took the information in, as opposed to trying to, like, how can I make it to where Abe Lincoln is a racist somehow still? But still, you got to tell me, when did you put your life on the line for black people? When did you take a bullet to the head? When you can answer that question in full, you got me. Next. July 12th. Whoa, 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 whoa. June 1862. Congress outlawed slavery in federal territories. Lincoln signed it to law. July 12, 1862. Lincoln met with the congressmen from the border states to encourage them to adopt gradual, compensated emancipation measures in their own states. But 2 days later, they rejected his appeal. Wow. But he's the fucking racist, right? Not everybody he's dealing with. Not everybody he's dealing with, or at least enough of them are racist or bigot like a motherfucker. He's the racist. Like I said, the man's not stupid. Were you there? Are you passing for white at this very moment? Because if you are, I'm sure you understand the delicacies of things you cannot say and things you cannot try to defend in that very moment. Going forward, July 13th, 1862. Lincoln discussed a possible Emancipation Proclamation with Secretaries William H. Seward and Gideon Welles. He's already been talking about this, but this is what they have on paper from a scribe or a recorder at that time. July 17, 1862. Congress passed the Second Confiscation Act, which included provisions that freed the slave of disloyal owners, authorized the president to employ African Americans in the suppression of the rebellion, and called for exploring voluntary colonization efforts. Congress passed the Militia Act, which authorized the employment of African Americans in the military. Freedom for those who were enslaved and freedom for their families if those owned by those disloyal to the Union. Lincoln signed it to law. Break it down real quick. If you saying you with the Union and you have slaves and you're not trying to pay these slaves, like you don't want to pay them nothing, but you're saying you're a Union state, you're a border state. Okay, well, we're going to make it to where all these people are free. Remember, the same dudes at the border states who were acting funny, now he's just going to press the line on them. But that ain't going to make nobody feel no type of way, right? They just going to take that land down for niggas. Let's keep reading. July 22. Lincoln presented a draft preliminary Emancipation Proclamation to his cabinet. Secretary Seward suggested waiting for a Union military victory before issuing a proclamation. I know you're going to be like, Meet, you read this shit already. No, I hadn't. I just understand how warfare works. No offense if you don't. There's shit you don't do until you secure certain things. You know, like, for example, if you're smart and you understand, you shouldn't try to get married until you actually have a job, at least, and some money coming in and a way to support yourself. FYI, similar concept here. You got to have something before you start trying to go forward with shit. Because you can make it happen, but it's not going to be pretty. 18, July 22? No. August 1862. General Benjamin F. Butler incorporated into the Union military effort several African American Native Guard units organized in Louisiana. August 20, 1862. Lincoln responded to New York Tribune editor Horace Greeley's prayer of 20 millions editorial in support of emancipation. August 25, 1862. War Department authorized recruitment of African American soldiers in the South Carolina Sea Islands. So these are all the places. Note what Lincoln is doing. Lincoln is going to the places that they wanted to keep the slavery shit in, to get these dudes to fight against the slavery the toughest, because obviously they're the most oppressed, naturally. Now, both of my parents are from two of those states that are mentioned. And I have a lot of family in the other places that were mentioned. But I'm just saying, my father was born in Alabama. My mother was born in Mississippi. 7, September 17th, 1862. Battle of Antietam, considered a Union victory. 1862, September 22. President Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that as of January January 1, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall be in rebellion against the United States, shall be thenceforward and forever free. So pretty much saying that if they have slaves on January 1st, 1863, they're in rebellion in the United States. We are the United States. They're not their own states. They're us. They're not their own thing. And we're telling you that if they're doing whatever they're doing in those states at that time and place, they're in rebellion in the US, and all y'all free. Needed a battle victory though. Can't just tell people that they're free and then, okay, with what teeth to that? October 1862, Confederate Congress passed 20 Negro Law, which exempted from military service one man per plantation with 20 or more slaves. So if you had at least 20 slaves, you didn't have to go fight. If you got 19, it's too bad, motherfucker. 1862 December. Confederate President Jefferson Davis proclaimed that captured African American soldiers and their white officers would not be treated as prisoners of war, meaning kill them all. 1863, January 1. Lincoln signed the final Emancipation Proclamation, which freed all slaves not residing in specified Union controlled areas of the Confederacy and authorized enrollment of African Americans into the military. Chancellorsville Campaign in Virginia, April to May 1863. May of 1863, Bureau of Colored Troops established. May through June 1863. Black troops participated in battles of Port Hudson and Milliken's Bend in Louisiana. 1863 July. Union victories at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Vicksburg, Mississippi. Targets of draft rioters in New York City include African Americans' assault on Fort Wagner near Charleston, South Carolina, led by black troops. August 10. Lincoln met with Frederick Douglass to discuss recruitment of black troops. 1863, August 26. Lincoln wrote public letter for James C. Conkling in which he defended his emancipation policies. The letter was read at a mass union meeting in Springfield, Illinois. November 19th, 1863. Lincoln delivered his Gettysburg Address at the dedication of the National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. 1863, December 8th. Lincoln issued his Proclamation of Amnesty and Reconstruction, which established lenient terms for the return to the Union of former Confederates, but required them to abide and faithfully support all proclamations of the president made during the existing rebellion having reference to slaves. Pretty much, y'all got to come here and just accept that black people are going to be free. And y'all got to support everything that I say outside of that. But I will let y'all come. Right. Right. At this point, they're tired of the bloodshed, y'all. How many Gettysburgs did they want? Once again, I need y'all to understand, like, these dudes really got down. It really happened. This shit did not happen. And when niggas talk about, oh, the rebellions on the plantations, I need y'all to really, like, understand this. If they mobilized and sent troops to every plantation to quell all those rebellions, there would be no more black people. They'd have killed us all. So these niggas who talk about uprisings were the reason why we got free, those dudes are mentally ill. Tell them to uprise right now. If the shit they're saying is true, tell those bitch ass niggas to uprise right now. I wants to see it. April 4, 1864. Lincoln explained the progress of his decisions related to the emancipation in a letter written to Albert Hodges. 1864, April 8th. United States Senate passed a joint resolution proposing a constitutional amendment abolishing slavery. 1864, April 12th. Massacre of African American troops captured by Confederate troops led by General Nathan Bedford Forrest at Fort Pillow, Tennessee. Right. Niggas should have just went down fighting because they massacred you anyway. But these, once again, these niggas who've never been in no kind of military action, who just talk militant, want you to think that they could have fought in the Civil War and made it. While their great grandfather was a shit shoveler. Can you hear me? Shoveled shit in the Civil War. They shoveled shit in the motherfucking World War One, and they shoveled shit in World War Two and every other military campaign. A bunch of professional shit shovelers. No wonder they're so good at talking shit. Because they've been around it for so long. Niggas is worthless bastards. 1864, May through June. Overland Campaign in Virginia. June 1864. Petersburg Campaign began in Virginia. September 1, 1864. Fall of Atlanta, Georgia. 1864, November 8th. Lincoln reelected president. Y'all gonna say he stole the election too, huh? Right. This niggas is just so dishonest and so cruddy. Just garbage. January 16th, 1865. General William T. Sherman issued Special Field Order 15, reserving confiscated land in coastal South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida for settlement by former slaves freed during the war. But Lincoln didn't try to do nothing for, I know, he gave these niggas some shitty ass land and da. The same land that Lincoln gave these people, the U.S. government ended up taking back. But Lincoln's the racist, right? Same dude got his head knocked off. I'm going to keep repeating that. Got his whole shit knocked off. January 31, 1865, United States House of Representatives passed a joint resolution proposing a 13th constitutional amendment abolishing slavery, which the Senate had passed in April 1864. The proposed amendment was sent to states for ratification. 1865, March. Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, Freedmen's Bureau, established within the War Department in March. Confederate Congress authorized recruitment of slaves as soldiers with permission of owners. Confederate Congress authorized recruitment of slaves as soldiers with permission of owners. By March, they were so desperate they just needed the niggas to fight in the Civil War. Can you hear me, y'all? That's how the South felt. It's too late now. April 9, 1865. Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, effectively ending the Civil War. Now tell me how the fuck this nigga Grant end up on the $50 bill and my nigga Abe is on a 5. Make it make fucking sense. Somebody. Is it because he was a general that fought in? I don't understand it. Anyway, April 11th, 1865. In what was his final speech, Lincoln suggested limited voting rights for very intelligent African American men and those who served in the military. Was trying to already get it popping. He's already trying to do fucking shit that y'all ain't never heard of back then. Limited voting rights, which would have eventually became full voting rights had it happened back then. This is 1865, y'all. This ain't 1964. April 14th, 1865. Abraham Lincoln shot at Ford's Theater by John Wilkes Booth. Lincoln died at 7:22 a.m. on April 15th, 1865, December 18th. Ratification of the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Let's go back to that very first point, or the very second point. December 20th, 1860. South Carolina became the first of 11 southern states to secede from the United States. Ultimately, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia would follow. So this shit's about slaves. Nigga, not even a whole month and a half later after this dude's elected, they seceded. But Lincoln wasn't for black people. He didn't give a fuck about no niggas. Okay? The whole thing is a misunderstanding. It's all cap. I'm not here to tell black people what to think or what not to think. I'm not here to tell nobody what to believe. I'm telling y'all that right there is information that you can see for yourself. The links are there. You can see the information yourself. You can read it yourself. You can come to your own conclusion. You might come to a totally different conclusion than I've already drawn in my own mind. How I know, though, that these dudes are total bastards is because they won't even speak the truth. They talk like as if somebody in their bloodline got their head knocked off, like King, got their head knocked off, like Abe. Same dudes failed to realize Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Once again, what was he supposed to do? We have to give these black people full voting rights? They already didn't want niggas to be free. There was people in what they said were border states who were like, man, fuck what he's talking about. And y'all don't think that him getting his head knocked off has anything to do with letting black people have some free range, not even real freedom. And it took a whole 100 years just for you to get limited voting rights after he had already proposed it to very intelligent black men and people who served. Wow. Wow. So off tops, they would have had representation. Nobody's looking at it like that. I'm not going to break into another we're not gonna get into another thing, but I will pull it up just so y'all can see it, to have seen it. And I'm about to get ready to get up out of here because I look, middle man morons. These dudes are part of the middle management moron process because they they go on and say things that they know are just patently untrue. What does that say? The Civil Rights Act of what year? 1866. On April 9, 1866, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act declaring that all persons born in the United States were citizens with full rights under the Constitution. Stop right there. That was based on the Lincoln laws. I don't even want to talk about it. Stop shit. Right? Because Abe Lincoln was a fucking full blown bigot, racist, hated niggas, hated the brown skin that you got. He hated your black curly hair. He hated everything about you. Hated everything about me too, apparently. And yet, at the last thing he would do on this earth, he didn't die in his bed surrounded by loved ones of old age. Somebody thought that it'd be a good idea to put a Colt 45 bullet in his head. Just throwing it out there. Middle management morons. Let's go ahead and look at the mission of the Department of Justice one more time before we roll up out of here, and that's that. And we'll leave on that note. No, we can't leave on that note. I got to show y'all one more thing. So what's that say? The mission of the Department of Justice is to uphold the rule of law, to keep our country safe, and to protect civil rights. And this is the last one that I want to bring up to y'all. Supreme Court rule led to 70,000, what they'll at least admit, 70,000 forced sterilizations. We're not going to listen to nothing that this dude's saying. We're going to get to the real nitty gritty. Excuse me, in history, according to our guest journalist, the 1927 decision upholding a state's right to forcibly sterilize a person considered unfit to procreate. Unfit because they were deemed mentally deficient. Stop right there. Do you realize white folks tried to kill off other white folks who they thought were retarded? I mean, of course they did this shit to black people. But do y'all realize that's who they were really doing this to? White folks who they thought were full-blown retards. And were like, these dudes come from defective breeding. We don't need any more of them. For that, take them out in the back of the woodshed. Yeah, that's where those kind of shit come from. Anyway, brothers and sisters, this has been an epic, great short one. We're going to step on the necks of all these dudes. Joe Biden is trolling. He's an old ass man. I think there's people who were young who've had worse days than I've seen Joe have on a consistent basis, right? And he's an old man. At least he can say he's old. They're young. What's their excuse? However, if he steps down, Trump wins, and then maybe the Democratic fools do the same thing the Republican fools did some years back. We have yet to see. If I was a gambling man, though, I just don't see Joe Biden dropping out. I don't see it. They don't have any viable candidates. There's nobody that can, once again, middle management morons. Nobody ever listened to your boy Meach when he said that Beau Biden was supposed to be the guy. I said it years ago. I've always been adamant about that. When Beau Biden passed away, a part of Joe Biden died. I've always said this. This is why he brought up his son during that debate. Everybody's talking about Trump cooked him. When he told Trump he had the morals of an alley cat, that's all I needed to hear Joe Biden say to know that he was in his right mind. Because to say that Trump has morals greater than the alley cat means I need to question your morals. However, I'm not rooting for either one of these dudes. I just understand the dynamics here. And the dynamic of Joe Biden is that his son, Hunter Biden, is a piece of shit. And wished if he could switch him up and Beau was alive and Hunter was gone, he would gladly do that. Because Beau would be the next runner-up. Fucking war veteran, right on, decorated, no schmut on his reputation, right? Yeah, perfect candidate to have gotten into Congress and to have gotten the seat and to be right viable to take over right now. This is the truth. So when people don't understand, like I'm talking about the real middle management morons, right on. A president is a middle management. Y'all don't understand that? A president is a prime minister is a middle manager. Want to know why? Because they don't own all the money. Corporations do. In order for the government, for the president to not be a middle manager, the government would have to have control over all fiduciary means, or just about all fiduciary means. Because that's not the case, they're only so powerful. This is a fact. They can argue it, they can debate it, okay. retort, rebuttal, whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. All I'm gonna say is this before I roll out: it would be better that Joe Biden stayed, won, and then for whatever reason stepped down, than for him to step down and give a for sure victory to Trump. It's a shoe. He's a shoe in. Player hater of the year. Okay? Calling motherfucking bomb threats to the Special Olympics and all. This nigga's a real life player hater. And I'm telling you, he's gonna win if there's nobody there to fight against it. They better get this nigga Joe Biden some fire ass CBD that his body can handle. That'll bring his cognitive shit back just long enough so that way he can be out there on a campaign trail and won't be looking all sleepy and shit. My advice. That being said, I expect the Department of Justice to do exactly what it's supposed to do: uphold the rule of law, okay, secure the nation, and to protect civil rights. So hopefully the middle management morons who are in charge there understand that it's actually part of their job to make sure that the right candidate wins. Shh. It's not government interference if that's your mission. May tomorrow far exceed today. And may your next week now, may that one, may it surpass the last one. May it be, if it can't be anything other than anything else, let it be safe and productive and enjoyable. But I'm praying for excitement. I love when the shit pops off. Y'all just don't even know. I salute you. Salute you again. Salute you once more. Middle management morons will forever be in the place that they're in until somebody exacts justice. Now, the Department of Justice has a job to do. We'll see if the morons there do it.